Hey guys, good evening. I'm live from Turkey, the Ankara, the capital city. Welcome to our live cast. Today we will be discussing BitCherry, what BitCherry is, what its technology does, and then I'm going to answer some questions. You might be wondering, who the hell is this guy, right? Because this is the first time I'm appearing on this channel, and like you guys must be wondering what I'm doing here. So let me start with talking a little bit about myself. So my name is Emre, and I'm from Turkey, as I mentioned in the beginning. I'm a blockchain advisor, and also happen to be the largest, influencer in Turkey. So I have a YouTube channel of more than 60,000 followers in Turkey, and then I have another 60,000 on my Twitter, Telegram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all other accounts. So I started my YouTube channel back in 2017, and it's actually a really interesting story because my blockchain journey, my cryptocurrency journey actually began in 2013. When I was doing my master's in the United States, I saw some news about Bitcoin. It rose to like $1,000, and then we were all hyped up and interested. So I decided to give it a spin. So I made some investment, lost a lot of money because the exchange I used, went bankrupt, and then I just stopped thinking about it ever since. And then in 2017, when markets started to pick up really fast, Bitcoin prices shot up to like $5,000 or something like that. I started being interested again. So I made another investment back then, and then I made a lot of money. And like I started learning a lot about these cryptocurrencies. I discovered that there are many other protocols that are solving other problems that Bitcoin cannot. And then like when we were chatting with my friends about these topics, they all said that, you know what, you should maybe open a YouTube channel because everybody's interested in this stuff and there's no content here. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let's give it a try. So I started out a YouTube channel, shot my first video about Bitcoin, and then the channel just became viral. I mean, thousands of subscribers starting signing up every day. I mean, I started to get invitations to, conferences, universities, companies to get them educated about blockchain. So that's how my journey started. And now I'm helping BitCherry, expand their community across the globe. I'm morely focused in Turkey, but I'm also helping them globally, such as this video. And that how started is there was this huge summit back in Istanbul like 2 months ago. It was called Blockchain Economy. And the CEO of BitCherry, Paul Bao, was there speaking about BitCherry's innovation and what they were going after. So I thought it was an interesting project. So we got acquainted, and then when we discussed, they wanted me to, also review the project because that's also something I do on my channel. I mean, people are always asking me about these different, cryptocurrency projects. They're asking if it's a legitimate project or if it's a scam. So I do a lot of reviews on my channel. That's why I also decided to review BitCherry and then help you guys understand what it does, basically. So that's pretty much about me. And as I said, BitCherry is like one of the newest cryptocurrencies who's actually building a decentralized, fully decentralized, very secure, very reliable, blockchain platform. It's going to be a distributed and open blockchain platform because that's also important for transparency. And what they're targeting is basically, capturing the commerce market. I mean, commerce is a very general term. But when you think about commerce, you can say that, this includes a lot of stuff like, financial transactions or like value transactions, storing data securely and distributedly, or keeping track of production lines. There's a lot of aspects to commerce today, and most of them are done with traditional centralized databases. So BitCherry is actually working towards getting this centralized data into a more distributed platform. So where should I start? I don't know. Let's talk about how blockchain came into our lives, because that's actually a very interesting concept. Back in 2008, when the financial markets collapsed because of the greed in Wall Street, a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto came up with an idea saying that, we're trusting our wealth and funds and pretty much everything with these centralized organizations. But when power is, accumulated in a single organization, it gets corrupted because we as humans are very corrupt people. So when these organizations get corrupted, they start to, put their own interests in front of, the people they represent. So that's actually the root cause of the financial crisis back in 2008, because all the banks and hedge funds and investment companies just became greedy with what was happening in the market. So Satoshi saw this, and then he just came up with an idea about building a decentralized, trustless system for monetary transactions. So he came up with the concept of Bitcoin, and in order to make Bitcoin work, he also came up with the technology called blockchain. So blockchain was a really fascinating idea, and it was just like a social experiment back then. But up until 2008 to this year, it's been almost like 12 years, and that social experiment actually succeeded. Today, Bitcoin is like a really trustable and secure way of storing value and transacting value across the globe. You can actually send money to anybody in the world without having an intermediary for like a very super cheap price. Just last week, there was like a transaction of more than $200 billion on the blockchain network, and it only cost like just the price of a cup of coffee to transact that much money. If you try to do that with traditional tools, just like banking or like payment gateways or fintech, it would have cost like a fortune. So Bitcoin was a really fascinating idea, and today it's a working idea because like thousands of people are investing in Bitcoin, doing transactions over the Bitcoin network. And the concept of decentralized, trustless networks was also really, fascinating because it enabled to, get rid of all the intermediaries in pretty much everything we do today, such as, commerce, such as, energy market or like trade, like pretty much even the government, concept. You can get rid of these stuff using blockchain. But Bitcoin was the first of its kind. I mean, the idea was great, the product was great back then, but now we see a lot of problems with the blockchain of Bitcoin because, I mean, Satoshi invented this blockchain as a social experiment, and it was working really fine up until 2017 because Satoshi didn't expect like millions of people would be interested in Bitcoin and try to get on, get into the network. So that was his, nearsighted vision. So Bitcoin's network is like, it's very secure. Today, it's the most secure blockchain that you can ever find. There was like thousands of attack attempts on Bitcoin's network, and nothing actually penetrated its blockchain so far. And it's truly decentralized. Anybody can join Bitcoin's blockchain network and then participate in the system using their proof of work mechanism. Today, anybody can become a miner and then participate in the Bitcoin network to earn the mining rewards. But Bitcoin actually lacks scalability. So today, there's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of trade going on Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's infrastructure is so prehistoric. It can only handle like 4 transactions per second. 4 transactions per second. That's just super low. I mean, imagine thousands of people trying to pay money to each other, and I mean we're actually seeing this problem even today. Like whenever the price of Bitcoin goes up or down, whenever people try to buy or sell Bitcoins and then get heavy network transactions, then the system just goes down. I mean, you wait for hours for your transaction to be validated. So there's the scalability issue in Bitcoin. And then people saw this, and then they thought that we can come up with some better ideas. We can come up with better platforms that can actually solve the scalability issue. As you know, today there are like thousands of cryptocurrency projects who are actually trying to solve this problem in their own way. So, like take Ethereum, for example. I mean, Ethereum is actually the first decentralized application platform, which is running on the blockchain network, something similar to what BitCherry is doing. But from the words of the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, he once said, a blockchain system can be secure, a blockchain system can be truly decentralized, and a blockchain system can be scalable. But none of the blockchain mechanisms can contain all three of these. So whatever you build, you're either going to compromise on scalability, you're either going to compromise on security, or you're going to be compromising on decentralized structure. So he thought that there was this project management triangle kind of a problem in the blockchain ecosystem. And I can give examples about it, like take Ethereum as an example. So Ethereum is scalable. Today, there's a lot of projects running on Ethereum. It is decentralized. Anybody can join the Ethereum network and then participate in the security of the system. But it's not secure. I mean, throughout the history of Ethereum, we've seen a lot of attacks, successful attacks, that caused a lot of people to lose millions of US dollars. And the Ethereum network had to actually destroy what they built in order to save that money. So when you have that, you can't actually trust the blockchain. Or let's take another altcoin, for example. Let's take Ripple's technology. I mean, Ripple is also a very secure blockchain network. It is super scalable. It can go up to 3,000 transactions per second, but it's not decentralized. I mean, we can't participate in the Ripple network. You can't just go and mine your ripples, or you can't actually have a say in the authentication and delegation of the blockchain of the Ripple network. So when you have a decentralized platform like Ripple, it raises a lot of questions, because you still have an intermediary that you need to trust with all kinds of commerce activities that you're going to build on that. I mean, what happens if Ripple goes bankrupt? Or what happens if Ripple's CEO or like Ripple's tech development team, goes rogue and tries to steal people's money? I mean, when you don't have a truly decentralized system, you end up, asking these questions. So that brings us to, what BitCherry is solving. So as I said, as actually Vitalik said, a blockchain platform cannot be, secure, scalable, and truly decentralized at the same time. But I think Vitalik said that just to, save his own ass, because I mean, Ethereum isn't secure. But the BitCherry team is actually working on a platform that can actually solve all these three, aspects. So they're working on a super safe, super, flexible and scalable and truly decentralized platform. And how they're managing this is actually using something of a very new technology called IPv8. I don't know how techy you guys are. I mean, I'm also not a very techy guy. I mean, I work at tech. Since I graduated college, I've been, working in a lot of tech startups. I had a lot of jobs in Silicon Valley companies. And even today, I'm still working in tech. But I got my degree in economics. So I'm not a software developer. I'm not a super techie guy. But still, I have an idea of what IPv8 is and how it works. So how to summarize this for you guys. As you know, while you're watching me here, you're on a computer or on your phone that's connected to the internet. And getting connected to the internet requires you to obtain an IP address. So up until today, when the first seeds of the internet was planted, like 20, 30 years ago, the folks who designed the internet infrastructure actually came up with a protocol called IPv4. So that was the first of its kind, and it's still being used today. But I mean, since it's an old technology, it's also having scalability issues today because back in the day, not everybody had computers and not all computers were connected to the internet. But now, I mean, we are at the age of smartphones and smart homes. So there's a lot of, devices that are constantly connected to the internet. The Internet of Things itself, it requires a lot of, infrastructure and backbone to support all that. So IPv4 doesn't have the infrastructure to support all these devices. I mean, like, we are running out of IP addresses even as we're speaking today. Not everybody can be connected at the system at the same time because IPv4 consists of 12 digits. Imagine having a phone number that's like 3 digits long. I mean, you can only call a couple of thousand people. Not everybody would be able to acquire a phone number, right? So same problem was on IPv4. So after that, they came up with the concept of IPv6. So IPv6 is a much more broader protocol that enables Internet of Things and lots of devices to be able to connect it seamlessly. But still, the backbone, the architecture of IPv6 is also dependent on IPv4. So these two are actually like ancestors to each other. So it's not a barely completely new, platform. IPv8, on the other hand, is designed entirely for peer-to-peer, transactions, data transactions. So IPv8 can actually help, people to connect to each other without an intermediary. And on top of that, it's also very efficient in terms of bandwidth allocation, and it also has the ability to, measure the dependency of each node, and then measure the trust between each node using social media connections and everything. So it's a really complicated concept, but it's actually the next, big thing in decentralized platforms. So that's why the BitCherry team decided to utilize the IPv8 technology for their own blockchain. And right now, they are claiming that the BitCherry network can actually handle 100,000 transactions per second, which is just crazy. I mean, Ripple network can only handle 3,000. Ethereum can only handle a couple of hundred. Industry giants, like payment system giants like Visa or MasterCard, can only handle, 30,000 per second at most. But like with, BitCherry's infrastructure, there you can actually handle 100,000 transactions per second. So this enables BitCherry's blockchain to be utilized in almost any industry. You can store your company's data fully decentralized, fully encrypted, without worrying about keeping a data center live, or without worrying about if I have the backup or not. So it eliminates all kinds of problems, and it's super fast. So you can use it in all kinds of commercial applications. You can keep track of your inventory management. You can keep track of your production. You can keep track of your employees. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So removing the intermediaries using blockchain tech is the next big thing today we're facing in the world. I mean, I think it was John McAfee's quote. I mean, he said blockchain is the biggest invention since farming. I mean, he says this is like that much of a potential. So this is important stuff, guys. And whoever actually manages to, solve scalability, decentralization, and security at the same time is going to rule the world. I mean, it's just going to be so big of a company. I can't even imagine what's going to happen next. So really exciting times if you're interested in new tech. And I'm actually also very interested in BitCherry because they're actually very close to nailing this problem. As I said, BitCherry is working on this. It's a fairly new cryptocurrency project. It's only 1.5 years old, as far as I know. And right now, it is only listed in the BitTalk exchange. I think there's a question there. Does BitCherry have a plan to list a well-known exchange? Let me actually answer questions now. So, yeah, as I said, BitCherry is already listed in an exchange called BitTalk, and the current price is, let me see, it's around 3.5 cents per token. But in its good days, it's seen like almost 50 cents, 15 cents. So that's almost like a 5x, increase. So let me ask the question first, and then I'm going to add some comments about, BitCherry's price and exchanges. So yeah, I mean, BitCherry is working on getting listed on major exchanges, because how you become popular in a decentralized world is by, unfortunately, trusting some central parties. I mean, even today, everybody who's supporting decentralization have been actually building monopolies. So it's a double-edged sword, because when you try to get listed in a big exchange, such as like Binance, I mean, they ask for a lot of the supply of the coin that you've built. So they want to rule that coin by holding on to the supply of that token. And that actually defeats the purpose of decentralization. I mean, what good does a coin project do if most of its tokens are actually held by like a single entity? So that's something dangerous, and that's something the BitCherry team is trying to avoid. But still, in order to make this project popular and get their reach to the maximum, they're working on getting listed in some major exchanges, and I'm pretty sure you will be hearing about them in this channel by the BitCherry team. And I was also saying that the price of BitCherry is just around 3.5 cents in BitTalk exchange. But I was just gonna say this, it's a super saturated market. There are thousands of coin projects that are trying to solve the same problem. It is really hard to actually predict which one is going to succeed in this market, because like imagine the first days of internet. Before Google was the king of search engines, there was actually Alta Vista. There was something called Yahoo. There was something called Ask Jeeves. Like there were these dozens of companies who were trying to solve the internet search problem, but then Google triumphed them all. So back in the day, nobody guessed that Google was going to be the #1. So same thing applies with the cryptocurrency projects as well. I mean, we don't know if Ripple is going to succeed or BitCherry is going to rule the world. I mean, it's too early to tell. But I can tell you one thing. I can tell you that if you invest in a project that's very new, like such as BitCherry, because it's in its infancy days. I mean, there's very little exposure to the market right now. There's very little volume in the exchange right now. There's only just one exchange, and the price is super cheap. So when you invest in a project at this stage, it actually guarantees you to make a lot of money, because you're one of the first movers of that project. I mean, everything the team is going to build on top of that is actually going to benefit you. So this is unfortunately, this can be applied to really credible projects and really scammy projects as well. But if you're one of the first guys, then I can assure that you will be reaping in a lot of rewards. So that's actually the biggest advantage of keeping an eye out on BitCherry right now. So yeah, there's another question. Please state BitCherry's roadmap for this year. So I'm not a part of the team, so I don't know the exact roadmap, to be perfectly honest. But I can tell you that the team is currently working on updating their infrastructure and getting the BitCherry token, BCHC, into their own blockchain. So as you know, right now the blockchain of BitCherry isn't live yet, so they're working towards finalizing that this year. And then once the blockchain starts running, then you're going to see a lot of upside potential, because BitCherry already started forming partnerships with a lot of countries across the world. I mean, they signed an agreement with the Domestic Republic of Congo. They're part of China's innovative blockchain academy. A lot of stuff is going on in terms of business development in the project, and once the blockchain is live by the end of this year, then things are going to pick up way faster. So let me actually answer one final question. I don't want to make this live cast super long and boring. I don't know if you want to hear more about me or like more about my jabbers. So let's answer one final question, and then make this the end of the day. So let's see. The community has become the three forces in parallel with exchanges and blockchain medium, which is a BitCherry community layout, and what is the effect? So I'm guessing you're asking about the community activities that BitCherry has been doing, which is actually a really good question, because as you know, in today's marketing ecospace, you need to build a really strong community in order to succeed in the cryptocurrency market. I mean, traditional advertisement just doesn't work for blockchain, because since it's a very new technology, it's also something of a debate topic. So not everybody's on board supporting blockchain. For example, YouTube sometimes bans or removes cryptocurrency traders or cryptocurrency influencers, which is a problem of the centralized authorities. So right now there's a lot of debate around blockchain. So you can't just use traditional marketing. That's why blockchain projects are super dependent on building communities across the globe. And BitCherry already has a vast community globally. I mean, right now, they've started community construction in Japan, South Korea, Russia, China, the United States, France, Germany, Australia, Turkey, and Italy, Arabia, Dubai, Singapore, the Philippines, Vietnam, Nigeria. So like they're already all over the world. So they're building their communities right now as we are speaking. And then once the platform also launches fully, then there is going to be a huge, community base to support what BitCherry is doing. So yeah, I mean, I think I've given enough information for today. Don't forget to get subscribed to BitCherry's official YouTube channel to follow the latest news. Don't forget to also check BitCherry's own website, www.bitcherry.io. And as we mentioned in the last question, BitCherry already has lots of communities across the globe. So if you're living in the United States or Turkey or France, don't forget to go to Telegram and go into the BitCherry platform, BitCherry community there, so you can both learn more about the project and you can also meet like other people who are interested in the project. So it's a good place to be in. I mean, in Turkey, Turkey is a really vibrant crypto market, and but at the same time, it's in its very early stages. So for most of my followers in my YouTube actually don't have a Telegram. So whenever I say that, hey, go to Telegram and follow this channel, they're like, oh, we don't use Telegram. So it's kind of lame. So I highly recommend that you install Telegram to your phone. It's like the mecca of cryptocurrency information. So if you're interested in cryptocurrencies, if you're interested in coin trading, you definitely have to have Telegram. And don't forget to subscribe for BitCherry's Telegram channels. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this live cast, and don't forget to subscribe, as I mentioned. I'm hoping you all the very best. I'm hoping you guys are staying safe in your homes due to the outbreak. So yeah, up until next time, see you around.